So hello everybody, welcome to today's webcast on new distribution capability. This module is going to be presented by myself, Valérie Courtas, and my colleague Cécile Rousseau, and we are both managers industry adoption programs at IATA. We will have a series of 2 modules on new distribution capability over the next 2 weeks. So this is only the first module covering NDC basics. So let's start by introducing ourselves. My name is Valérie Courtas. I am working for IATA for the past 12 years, starting in the operations, but specifically in the NDC program for the past 4 years. And the main responsibilities is about actually ensuring that NDC standards and also one other standard are being adopted and that correct engagement is done with airlines and all the stakeholders. So I'll let my colleague Cécile introduce herself as well.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So I'm Cécile Rousseau, Manager in Distribution Program Adoption, mainly looking after engagement and adoption. So since 2012, I've been part of the NDC program and have been looking and as part of my responsibility, responsible for looking on the engagement with airlines, travel agent, corporate buyers, and IT provider.
So let's have a quick look at the agenda for today. We are going to have a session of around an hour talking about NDC Basic. So we will start with giving you a bit of a broader picture on the vision for digital airline. Then we will cover what is exactly NDC, what is the market problem we are trying to solve. Then we will move forward to explain you what is exactly NDC bringing in terms of value creation, specifically for airlines. Then we will cover, of course, the other benefits for the stakeholders in the value chain, such as travel agents, travel management companies, corporates, ultimately also the end customer, the traveler. Then we will provide you a short update on where is the NDC program today, how many airlines have already implemented, where are we with the different initiatives. And also, we will give you a short overview of how to get started with NDC, what are the key documents you need to read in order to be ready to start your project. At the end, so we expect to do that in around 45 minutes, and we will have approximately 15 minutes at the end of the session to answer your questions. So don't hesitate to actually raise your question using the chat functionality during the presentation, but we will address all of them at the end of the webinar. All right, so let's move straight to the vision for the digital airline. So as I was mentioning, the vision for the digital airline is the bigger picture of what all those activities we are doing in IATA in terms of transformation in the airline industry programs. So the vision for this digital airline is actually for airlines to become a real digital retailer, and we are supporting those activities with a portfolio of projects and activities called the Airline Industry Retailing, AIR. But also it's about airlines being more efficient in terms of financial organizations. So mainly everything that deals with financial simplification and disruption. And it's about transforming the industry with speed, supported by an IATA innovation ecosystem and a proper industry architecture. So what does it mean concretely? It's all about moving from a legacy distribution process and context, a world where we have today, into a world of digital retailing. So what does it mean is that today legacy distribution is really process-centric, based on fares availability, based on tickets, PNR, based on credit cards, settlement, the way we know it today with through the BSP, but service, simple servicing and information. And we expect to move that towards a more digital retailing world that is more customer-centric, constructed around the concept of offers and orders, aiming at a zero-click payment with instant settlement, some user-friendly servicing, and real-time information. To support this big change from moving from legacy to a digital retailing world, IATA is actually leading a series of projects and activities to support the industry. As I was mentioning before, this is all under the name of Airline Industry Retailing. And the main 4 projects that are ongoing today in order to bring those transformational projects are NDC. So this is what we will be discussing today, new distribution capabilities. So this is about the modernization of the way products and services are being distributed from the airlines to the market. It's about One Order. So One Order is a further transformational project, simplifying actually the legacy worlds of e-tickets and PNR into moving that into a world of orders. And then we have 2 more projects around the simplification and the modernization of the BSP, which is the Billing and Settlement Plan, which has been a core activity of IATA from the past several years, that is actually allowing the settlement, the remittance and the settlement between travel agents and airlines. So we have 2 projects ongoing called New Gen ISS, which is the modernization of the BSP to make airlines funds safer and transparency in payment. All that is also supported by a series of activities led by IATA around innovation, such as the hackathon, the innovation competition, think tank. We have also a series of events, the Business Travel Summit, Symposium, Air Symposium, and a series of documentation that is available for all of you, the Air's white paper, and some webinars that are taking place. So today we are going to concentrate on one of those transformational projects. I just wanted to give you an overview of all the projects that are going on, because this is not just NDC, but this is a bigger picture. But we have to start with the first piece, which is NDC, which is new distribution capability. So let's go through first what is exactly the market problem that we are trying to solve. So today, actually, well, the value chain is constrained, and customers, travel agents, and airlines are all the victims of an outdated standard and technology capability. So for the customer, it's about customer experience, and today actually is not consistent depending on when they search for travels, either through a direct website from the airlines or through a travel agent. For the travel agent, it's because they can't easily have access to many of airlines' products that are available only on the airline direct website. And for airlines, ultimately, it's because they don't have the freedom to distribute their products across channels without being commoditized. So one of the IATA's core activities is about setting industry standards that facilitate air travel. And in the case of NDC, new distribution capability, IATA has been working with all the value chain in order to develop a standard that enhances the data communications capabilities between airlines and travel agents. So in other words, basically NDC, you can see it as a modernization of a 40-year-old data exchange standards for ticket distribution that was actually developed even before the internet was invented. So the standard that we are talking about is actually an XML-based standard, an internet language, that will modernize the way air products are retailed with benefits for all the value chains, so the airlines, travel agents, corporations, of course, the technology providers as well, and ultimately it's for the benefits of the traveler. So before we move a bit forward in terms of specific of NDCs, I think it's important for you to have a look at this slide. I'm pretty sure you are very familiar with this picture already, how distribution works today. So let's take maybe a quick example to go through this slide with you. So today, if you consider actually a customer would go to a travel agent, they would have a request for a flight, let's say from Geneva to Dubai. The travel agent would say, okay, we'll go and look at the different options. The travel agents would go to its global distribution system, the GDS, and who on the behalf, they will go to 2 external parties to get schedules and fares, and then go to the airline to ask for availability. So with these 3 components, actually the GDS will be able to construct an offer and pass it down again to the travel agents to present to the traveler. So in fact, in this whole picture, the airline has only been asked for availability, and no wonder at this stage the airline was unable to push out rich content or any more qualitative information to the travel agent. So new products would be also very difficult for an airline to push in this context. And we are not even talking about personalization, because in this picture, actually, the airline doesn't even know who is requesting the travel. Whereas if the traveler would have gone, or the travel agent would have gone through the direct website of the airline, then if they would have checked the website today, they could have asked for an offer, and the airline would have been able to construct it on its own and push it back to the travel agent or the traveler with a priced offer that they have constructed on their own. So where does NDC fit in all that? NDC is actually the standard that will enable the airline to do like on its direct channel, to push out to the indirect channel, to the travel agent, an offer that is already constructed by the airline. So in this picture, the airline can actually build the offer, push it back to the travel agent, and in this case, can directly push it back to the travel agent or use an aggregator in the middle. That can be a global distribution system as a content aggregator, or any new entrance to the market. So in NDC world, airline retailing in an NDC world, the airline is more in control of the offer. And that, combined with the fact that it's an XML-based modern technology, it can push out as well rich content, so pictures, videos. The airline is much more agile in terms of pushing new products to the market. And it can also, if the customer asks for, provide some personalized offer. Just to give you a concrete example, this is a simple example from today's shopping interface through a website. So this is, for example, a screenshot of Expedia. Well, you see that today, most of the time, what you can compare airlines is mainly on price and schedule. Whereas what we expect with tomorrow's shop interface, so enabled by NDC, is for different airlines to be able to compare through a different type of product and services that they can propose. So tomorrow's shop window will look a bit more like this. So this is only a mock-up that has been done as a demonstrator of NDC. But as you can see, the shopping tomorrow will be much more richer and much more adapted to the customer need. And of course, and by the way, also, if you see this red arrow at the bottom, if an airline chooses not to distribute or to distribute only on price and schedule, this will most definitely stand out compared to the other airlines. So that's definitely where you don't want to be. That's why NDC is enabling really the distribution of products in a much more agile and richer and better for the customer experience. So moving forward, what is exactly the benefits and the value creation that NDC brings to, so specifically here for an airline? We have seen a couple of those already in the graphs before, but let's go through now every one of those components that brings the value creation of NDC for an airline. Let's start with the rich content. So rich content is actually the ability to display and also store and manage and distribute this rich media and rich content to third parties, to travel agents. So we are talking about pictures, videos, sound. Of course, in the future, we can also think of other forms of rich content, such as virtual reality. And this is really about displaying these in-flight products, so displaying products in a more nicer and better way, so that airlines can actually push out those products to the customers, to the travel agents, and ultimately increase the sales of ancillaries and also increase their look-to-book ratio. Moving forward with the ancillaries, so as we are saying, ancillaries is about the capacity of the capability of offering additional products and services, what is not available today through the traditional channel, when we say that airlines can only push fares and schedules. Here we are talking about showing the full range of products and services available at an airline. So starting with basic products such as extra bags, specific seat, lounge access, Wi-Fi, etc. But also it can be even more innovative products or other type of products such as insurance, hotels, cars, rental, etc. The airline here should build a list of ancillaries and evaluate extra revenues and cost of implementation. But the NDC standard here simplifies the overall implementation process. Another key element of NDC that we discussed a little earlier was the personalization. So in the legacy world, as we were saying, the airline because they do not construct the offer, but it is done by the global distribution system today. Most of the time, the airline doesn't know who is requesting the specific request, So here in the world of NDC, the airline being in control of actually building an offer for a customer is able to actually tailor the service and the products to accommodate specific individuals. So the way it works would be that NDC allows that the airline can identify who is shopping, and therefore the airline can personalize those products. And this is mainly done through using, for example, frequent flyer numbers, but also it can be more elaborate through linking actually the offers that are being returned to a customer relationship database that will have a lot more information about the customer. So dynamic pricing is also one of the value creation enabled by NDC. And this is about personalizing and rendering as flexible the prices based on the current market demand. So instead of it's moving away from the traditional pricing with the different booking class, moving to a more agile way of creating a priced offer for a customer, and giving the possibility to have a wider range of price points actually proposed to the customer at a certain time in the market process. New channels of distribution, as we were saying earlier, actually what NDC allows is to expose content towards a new channel of distribution. So it's using a different distribution channel to distribute the products. It can be, of course, directly, as we were saying, between the airlines and the travel agents, and it can also be indirectly via an aggregator. In case of a direct connect from a travel agent to the airline, then of course the travel agent will need to build their own IT capability to connect through API to the NDC API of the airlines. the content can also be accessed via an aggregator where travel agents will need to connect to the aggregator, and the aggregator will be able to aggregate content from a number of airlines and return the information back to the travel agent. Order created in an airline environment. This is all about that the airline now is in control about creating, so first returning an offer when a travel agent asks for it, but also being able to create the corresponding order. So previously for that, the airline will have a need to build an offer and order management system. It can be built within or on top of your current PSS, and this whole system will manage all the offer and orders in-house. So this brings with it a lot of cost saving on the revenue integrity. So because the airline will be in charge of creating the order, there will be less discrepancies and less check needed on revenue integrity to ensure that the correct price has been offered and booked with the customer. This is also the first step toward simplification. If the airline now is in control of all the order, all the PNRs, this is the first step moving towards this new initiative that we were discussing earlier, which is one order, to actually get rid of the e-ticket and the PNR in the legacy world and move toward a full retailing world, including only orders, the same way you would have it today in a normal retailing world. NDC also brings some opportunities in terms of payment. So payment, as we were saying, if the orders is now at the airline's level, so this includes as well the booking and the payment of the ticket. So what NDC will enable is using an ability to manage new forms of payment, such as, for example, PayPal, such as instant bank transfer, paying by installment, using air miles, part cash, part miles. So this is something that is allowed now and facilitated by the NDC standard, and will also bring some cost savings in terms of using the alternative form of payment. And last but not least, there are also some value creation in terms of interlining. So interlining is the ability to procure content from another airline, flight segment, or ancillary products and services. So the NDC standard supports interlining between airlines. It's mainly about the sale of flights, but also what NDC is simplifying in terms of the cross-sell of ancillaries between the different airlines. So that's mainly about what the airline can get as value creation with NDC. Now, we are all part of a big ecosystem, so we are moving now to see what are the other benefits for the other player of the value chain. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague Cécile, who will go through the next slides with you.
Thank you, Valérie. So exactly, so what we have seen is really about airlines that want to move from commoditization to a value-based creation. And this is going to be via the indirect channel to better understand the travel agent and serve better the customer via the partners. So this is about personalization, merchandising, and also about airline differentiation. So we are really into an ecosystem of value for airlines and its partners. So when we look at the benefit for the travel agent, so travel agent will find a real improvement in NDC with better access to offers and better accuracy in terms of content. They expect also better productivity, so deliver more on value to their customer. So this is about not anymore comparing a request received from a customer on schedule and price, but add through the different value creation that NDC bring the value of rich content, visualizing the content, or bringing more ancillaries to the equation. When we see also rich content, it's about also a better explanation of the product and show to their client. So here the travel agent see a benefit also better, serve the client, focus on his client, understand better what do they want, ability to request offers that are matching a profile. So here we are about the personalization. So have access to more content to the travel agent, so to better personalize the offer to its client, and about real-time product and pricing direct from the supplier. So here again, we are talking about better accuracy of content and pricing, because remember, it's really about the airline creating the offer and having the full visibility of what the customer is requesting through its travel agent. So we look at the travel agent, but then just after the travel agent, as part of the distribution landscape, we have the corporate buyer. The corporate buyer are travel managers that are buying air, different component of the travel, and particularly in that case, air, and booking as well online for their employee, different, airline content as per their company travel policy. So for them, it's about more control, because simply they have all content going through one pipe, and they are able to see what is being booked by their travel manager or by their employee as per also the policy, the company travel policy. So they see also as a benefit less out of policy booking. So looking at having, maybe booked something separately from the main channel of the corporation. So this is for them a great value and great visibility. It's also about cost reduction as well. And it's about improved reporting. Today, in the existing distribution landscape, corporate buyers have a report based on the flight, on the schedule, origin, destination, and the price. Now they will be able to have a better reporting as well, to see in terms of ancillary what has been booked by their travelers, and being able to have all of this centralized and visible through one pipe. And of course, the consumer. Now the consumer can now obtain the full range of competing airline products and prices through many channels. So what is it about? It's definitely more confidence. It's less time spending shopping in different places. It's about accessing to the supplier product description and picture. So again, rich content here, ancillaries, and bookings made directly into the airline reservation systems. So where are we in terms of NDC program? So what are the latest updates? So NDC is technical ready. The standard is ready for industrialization. In particular, that technosystem provider, GDSs that are entering now into the as a content aggregator, and any other technology provider have said publicly that now the NDC standard XML-based technology is ready for industrialization and mass implementation. So which brings us as of today, 66 NDC Certified Airlines, representing 60% of IATA member passenger boarded. So what is important is that we are seeing airlines looking at having value, bringing NDC into their technology and their distribution landscape. But the same applies to technology provider. We do have also 66 NDC capable technology provider that are investing in NDC, which include the GDSs, the 3 GDSs certified as aggregator. So here is a snapshot of all airlines that are today certified, seeing value, having gone through, their project implementation, talking with their partner, and went through the certification. The certification, it's really something that IATA is doing, but where all airlines and the entire value chain, in particular with the IT provider, see value of having, because it permits really to to showcase where you are to the value chain, and bring that those relationship with your partner into that NDC path. So together with the airline certified, we really see the value chain is committed. So IATA has been engaging with the communities of the corporate buyer and the TMCs, travel management companies such as American Express, BCD Travel, and so on. And same for corporate buyers, large corporations in the US or in Europe, such as Microsoft, Nestle, UBS, and so on. So we, IATA, have engaged with them the past 2.5 years, a group of around 25 corporate buyers under the travel management advisory group, and around 15 TMCs executive, talking to them regularly. And basically, we really use them as a sounding board to hear the challenges from, again, we are really into the value chain, to hear from them the challenges, hear feedback, and input as well that we can bring back to you airlines, and understand, helping you to better understand that part of the value chain. So if we look at, corporate buyer, a lot of work has been done with them, with this group of 25 corporate buyers, and they do see opportunity with NDC. First of all, around content. For them, it's improve the content to match the airline.com. Today, they were seeing, a gap between this indirect channel and the airline.com. And thanks to NDC standard, they see the opportunity to match that content with the airline.com. Cost as well, it's about more visibility on fare types and ancillary costs. Control, it's about enabling traveler back to their chosen channel. And it's not about, only prices, but this is really about the customer experience, but about the value added to the customer experience. So in that exercise, we have published, the TMAG, those 25 corporations have published a document called Taking the Reign. And it's really about bringing ideas as well and to the airline, saying, for me as a corporation, what are the new products and services that make sense to me, to my corporation, that I would like to see pushed out through the NDC pipe. And it's also about having really a more strategic relationship between the airline, the buyer, and how also TMC will add value tomorrow. So the TMC, the travel management company, is really the intermediaries of the corporate, managing their booking, their travel program, and so on. And here it's really about the vision of the future of the TMC and how NDC can help basically TMC to better bring data to the corporation, how to bring that better reporting, a real total management of their travel program. So travel agents. So here, travel agent could be leisure, business travel, small, medium size. So we, in 2015, we ran a report in cooperation with WTAAA Association, comprised of a series of a good number of travel agents worldwide. And we published this paper about NDC and travel agents seeing NDC as an enabler to success. So 3 keywords, as you can see on the slide: better customer service, increased productivity, and more competitive. So just one or two examples to illustrate that. The engagement with the travel agent is going all along, but we have seen really from this report that travel agents in the world of distribution, they had to look, shop, search in different places to look for content, for local images, to be able to build a request, a response to a request to their customer. And basically with NDC, we have seen and we have heard from travel agents that NDC is really enabling a better productivity in terms of shopping and booking, because all is going in one pipe, the schedule, the price, but the value creation as well in terms of content or ancillaries or any other components. As part of our engagement together with that, with this community, we also have had a series of workshops with the TMC to help them as well to be able to work with you, but from an implementation side, to understand what will be look like the TMC architecture. So with a group of 15 TMC, we have built a reference IT architecture that's really helping them to position as well from an IT perspective their different components and see how they can integrate with the NDC API and any other API they might have in their ecosystem. So this is all about a journey. It's the journey of the entire value chain, but this is also the journey to 2020 to the IATA NDC leaderboard. So the leaderboard, last year in particular, those 21 airlines have embarked to the journey to 2020 with one of the objectives to go through critical mass, but also to take the lead, to take this critical mass to 20% sales by NDC API by 2020. So this is really it's really important that these airlines have been able to commit, to show, publicly their ambition, because to this target, in particular 20% of NDC sales by an NDC API. But it's also about showing as well that they are investing, but to the value chain too, because then if we look at IT provider, if we look at travel agent, it's really about showing to the rest of the value chain that they can invest, because airlines are part of this journey, and and much more than those airlines, because as you have seen, there is 66 airlines certified, but this group has committed for themselves really to the critical mass adoption. So this brings me how to get started. So there is maybe different type of people in your audience have done already some research, who have acquired some knowledge already. So what we are looking at after this first webinar in the NDC basic is for you to get educated. Not only you, but also I think it's important to identify within your organization or colleagues who this, will be, interested for them to be educated on NDC. So we have a link bringing you to NDC videos. We are publishing every year a change readiness guide for airline. So this is a document of 20-30 pages that help you to start from the beginning to build a project management and see what are the different components and a series of checklists of where to get started, basically, if as your airlines you are looking at starting an NDC project. Register to the NDC monthly newsletter. So this is a monthly newsletter where we bring all the news, all the announcement of things that we believe that from an industry perspective is valuable. So this is to keep you updated. Also to keep an eye on the governance of the NDC standard. Download the NDC schema version and have your IT team to look at it to understand what does it mean. More detail in terms of certification, airlines or IT, inviting you to look at the registry, which bring you basically seeing which airline is connected with which partner, implementing which schema version and so on. And finally, stay in touch with the NDC implementer community called the AirTech Zone. So this is going to be also our second module, and we will go into a more detail. So book your agenda for the webinar module 2, how to get started with your NDC project, taking place in May 8th, same time, for the morning and otherwise afternoon. So now I will be opening the chat functionality for you to ask any question. Okay, let us pull the questions. Give us a second. Yeah. All right. So first question is about will the deck, the presentations will be shared, and you can share it with your colleague. So yes, we will be sharing through our regional colleagues the deck, and we will be sharing it with all of you.
First, we have a question about can NDC only be applied in a BSP market, so BSP billing and settlement plan? So the answer, so the BSP is what IATA has been building in order to allow for the remittance and settlement between travel agents and airline. So the answer is no, NDC can be deployed in other markets. So we have, of course, enhanced the BSP to allow for airlines to actually beneficiate from all the services of the BSP in an NDC context. But you can also, of course, have NDC implemented even if there is no BSP in the market that you are targeting. Another question is about is servicing. So servicing is rebooking, rerouting, reissuance of a ticket supported through NDC. So the answer is yes. The NDC schema supports servicing, and it's entirely implemented in the schema. So once actually, when we are talking about NDC scenario, then it's the airline in charge of actually taking care of the booking, so all the offer, but also the order. So it's booking, payment, ticketing, and subsequently the servicing of the ticket. How long is the airline NDC certification process? So this one is a bit of a tricky question. So the certification process in itself is not a very long process. What is long is your airline having to implement. So just to give you an idea, the certification process has different levels. So it also depends on the scope. But if you are targeting a normal scope, which will be both the offer and order management, your airline will need to submit some traces, so some traces of the schemas, messages, that is compliant to the version that you are actually requesting for certification. So just the certification process on its own is very quick. So it's just for you to send us the traces and for IATA to validate that your traces are compliant to the schema. So the certification could take approximately 2 weeks minimum, but it could become a lengthy process. So at the airline side, because first of all, you have to implement and be in production with the travel agents to be able to submit those traces. And then depending on how compliant and how you have implemented, and if your traces are matching 100% the schema or not, then if we come back to you and you need to do some enhancement to your schemas, it will depend on your airline and your IT provider, or it depends if you do it in-house or through an IT provider, the time it will take for them to fix those issues. So it's really varying. It could be a very short process. It can also be a long process. But here you have to see it in a bigger context. It is not the certification process in itself. It's also your airline going through the whole implementation of the NDC standard and finding a partner to be live in production so that you are eligible, let's say, for the certification. Any more detailed documents for NDC link? So I see we have an expert already on the webcast, because we have not explained what NDC link is. So I'm just going to give a short explanation on that first for the rest of the audience. So NDC link is actually the platform that allows an airline to submit NDC transactions to the BSP, so the Billing and Settlement Plan, to IATA, for processing, so further processing, so that IATA can then allow for the remittance and settlement of the tickets sold. So in a legacy world, this would have been done in the indirect channels through a GDS. So the GDS are submitting daily files to IATA, to our data processing center, to allow for all the reconciliation and all the calculations to be made. In the case of NDC, because as we mentioned earlier, the GDS is not there in the middle to actually do the booking and to report those sales to the BSP. In this case, the airline is in charge of actually creating those reporting files and submitting them to the BSP. And the system that is used for that is called NDC Link. So there is some detailed documentation on NDC Link. We showed the slide before that mentioned our website, which is www.iata.org/NDC. there is a specific paper called the NDC link BSP for NDC in focus document that explains the whole process. And if you need an exact product guide, so a very more detailed document on NDC link, more technical about how to report the sale, I can get in touch with the person directly that asked this question, and I will send you the documentation that is a bit more technical if that's what you are looking for. Otherwise, you have on our website a generic explanation of all how NDC link works in the ecosystem of the BSP. We are being asking if we can share the presentation. So yes, we will be sharing the presentation. There will be also a recording. But we will share the site as well for you to have a look.
So we have a question about NDC implementation and I would say atypical and any other part of other IT pro will be still be part of the NDC implementation. Yes, I mean today we have atypical, we have the 3 GTSs, we have any other IT providers, being part of the NDC implementation. We have new entrants as well. So as far we are aware, this is, part of NDC implementation discussion between the airline and its IT providers, to embark into this NDC journey.
So we have a follow-up question also. So if my airline operates in a non-BSP market, can NDC link still be used? In this case, the answer is no. So because if there is no BSP, then you don't need NDC link to actually report those transactions to the BSP. In the case of a country or a market with no BSP, then you will need to look at either your own way of performing remittance and settlement, so directly with the travel agents, or anything that relates to credit card payment.
What is the latest version of NDC standard now? So again, if you airline go to IATA, www.iata.org/NDC, under standard tab, you will have the possibility to download the latest schema version, which is today the 19.1. So there is a form for anyone who wants to download. It's really open, the schema, and you download them and you will have access to the 19.1 version.
Just for you to know that there are 2 releases of the standard per year. So you are now looking at 19.1, which is so the first release in 2019, and the second release will be done in September, which will be the 19.2 version. And we always recommend, if you are about to start your NDC journey, or to always use actually the latest version of the version that has been released, because that's where you will have all the different enhancements that has been done, and you will beneficiate from all the work of the other airlines and implementers that have already used and improved the standard, so that it's actually today in a good shape for you to start implementing. So if you can always use the latest version of the NDC schema, it's better for everybody.
And to complement Valerie, there is a zone, what we talk the AirTech zone, that's really a space, for airlines that are, looking at implementation or implementing, and developers. So here you can see already a couple of questions of things that have been raised, and also access, the schema there, as well with the description.
So when is NDC moving to JSON? So there has been some work done actually, so JSON and REST as well. So there is some there has been some work done to actually make it work in those other languages. I'm not a technical expert, so I maybe recommend the person who asked this question to have a look at the AirTech zone that we mentioned earlier, and you will have the link actually on the presentation, where you have a whole explanation on how to transfer the XML language into JSON and REST. And I think there are some sandboxes as well for the for if you want to try out.
So we do have 2 minutes, extra minutes. So again, I encourage you all, all airlines that have participated, to look at the change readiness guide, to the different link that we will be providing to you as part of the slides. IATA.org/NDC, all the time updated. But of course, we do have regional manager in the different regions or your even local offices. So I invite you to, if you have any question, to contact them, do any follow-up, and if, anything required. Valerie and myself are also here.
We have a last question before we close the call. Will NDC totally replace the traditional connection of travel agencies? So, ideally, that's what we have created the program. That's why we're working, Cecilia and myself, to make it happen. And ideally, yes, but as you can imagine, this cannot happen from one day to the other. So it will, first of all, replace all traditional connection if all the players see value in it. And this is what the trend that we are seeing now growing, with the Leaderboard airline also committed to 20% and then mass adoption. But as you can imagine, for a short, medium, long-term period of time, we will definitely have to live with the two systems in parallel. So probably not for the short term. Not all traditional connection will be eliminated, and this is also based if everybody can see the value of NDC. Okay, so I think there is no more questions. Then we are going to close this session. I hope it was very helpful for you and that you now understand how NDC works and what it is. We will also be sharing the presentation and the recording later. Please book your agenda for the next module. We hope to see you all there, and bring your questions also if you think you have some more questions that we did not cover today. And thank you very much, and hope to talk to you very soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.